What are they thinking? Why would they do something like that? Wouldn't it be nice to know what's on the inside of someone's head and just understand why they do the things that drive you crazy? You're in luck. Welcome to my series on how to get along with people based on each Enneagram type, my favorite personality test that is so incredibly spot on, it's going to blow your mind. I share with you literally how to get along with each type and even interview someone from each type so you can get the tea straight from the source. Today, my friend Jason joins me to share what goes on in the mind of an Enneagram 2. Jason owns his own architect firm and is a father of 2 kids, one in high school, one in college. He's passionate about cooking, hunting, fishing, all the things outdoors. Ready to dive into a mind of the helper? Check it out. Thank you, Jason, my beloved Enneagram 2, for coming onto my show. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thanks for helping out. I feel like you really like helping out because you're the helper.
It seems to be that way. Yeah.
So tell me about being a helper. When you found out that you were an Enneagram 2 and you found out that the name of Enneagram 2 was the helper, did it hit? Did it make sense? Did anything click?
It made complete sense, especially from the business aspect, but also on the personal side of always wanting to do more, help people out, want to see them succeed. And I think that kind of ties into the business side of what I'm doing. And on the personal side, also with, raising kids and family and everything else, is always trying to be there for them and make sure that you're helping, but without doing. But as we find, sometimes that can be a challenge as well.
Right. So tell me about that challenge. What makes that hard? What makes wanting to help people hard?
Um, it's not the part of wanting to help them that's hard. It's sometimes helping them. And whenever you're seeing things veer off course, as we know now, I'm a stress 8. So that makes me want to take control and then I'll want to do it and all that sort of stuff. So it's really about helping, but without doing yourself. I think when you start doing it yourself, you then probably go too far. You start to feel unappreciated because then it just becomes a cycle.
Okay, so this is going to be really good for how to get along with an Enneagram 2. So because you like to help people so much, and if you see them not helping themselves,
hmm
where do you invite yourself to step in?
Um, mm, Probably after it's too late. Honestly, I think is
Hmm.
probably should start helping sooner, but in little ways, not wait to the end to where it's such a big jump where you're having to, I guess, fix everything, um,
Hmm.
which you're not necessarily fixing. You're just um, stopping a problem from proceeding forward to some degree.
Yeah, right. What, because you're driven to help people so much, how do you feel when you see somebody not helping their own situation?
Um, it's frustrating to me because I can see a lot of potential in people, and it's just a few things that they could do to help out their situation and really dedicate their time in order to do that.
Hmm. Yeah. And then what you mentioned in return, when you don't get that help in return, when you
Mhm.
don't get that appreciation in return, how does that feel? Because you want to help people because you like
Mhm.
helping people, but what happens if that goes unappreciated?
Um, I guess there becomes a certain limit. It depends on which factor it is. If it's in a business standpoint, probably my fuse is a lot shorter. If it's
Hmm.
in a personal relationship or family matter, it's going to be a lot longer, obviously. So it really situationally depends on what we're dealing with. But
Hmm.
appreciation is important, I think, in every aspect, and it doesn't have to be balloons and candy and all the fancy stuff. It can just be a simple "thank you so much for your help" and kind of not
Yeah,
do that same thing again, or try not to at
right.
least. Mm.
Okay. Well, there's a thing with Enneagram 2s, and it's called mind reading, where Enneagram 2s do a lot of mind reading in theory, right? These are generalized
Mm.
ideas, but I, as an Enneagram 2, want to help you. I get joy out of helping you. So I help you, help you, help you, help you, help you all the time. And then if there's
Hmm.
no appreciation given in return, there's this idea of, well, you should help me because I've helped you all these other times in the past.
Right.
What has your experience been with getting to that point?
Probably a lot. It's the experience of getting to that part a lot. So you kind of nailed it. But that also, when you say things like that to people, they say, "Well, I'm not a mind reader." And so I think that comes down to anticipating and being clear in your communication. So I think I try to anticipate things. Probably I'm a way overthinker. So I can see an issue, I'm overthinking what are the 10 things that can go wrong, and here's how you fix those 10 things, or how you chart a path to avoid those 10 things. Um,
Mhm.
uh, so I think that's just, I lost my train of thought. So sorry.
Because there's so many things to think about, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and I love what you said about wanting to avoid these 10 things, because twos, and I can say this for my Enneagram 7 self, who can commiserate in this uh, distaste for confrontation,
Hmm.
right? So do you find yourself helping out a lot, maybe down the road, thinking about these 10 things that still have to come because you want to avoid a confrontation?
No, actually, I think that's one thing I don't mind a confrontation at all. It's a conversation, not a confrontation. I think I've heard that
There
before
you
somewhere.
go. That's some
So
growth points right there.
there you go. But I think it's important to no, I do not avoid confrontation. In fact, I want it done as quickly as possible to move on to the next thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's important. So it's like that's part of the communication of being clear, concise, to the point, and then let's just take care of it, get together, and then move on
Hmm.
from a
What
business
would you
aspect.
say? Yeah. Well, even on a personal, confrontation, boundaries, confrontation, saying no are
Hmm.
all common factors in maybe someone who's new to understanding, themselves as an Enneagram too. And I know you've done a lot of personal growth work over the last couple of years. And I
Hmm.
mean, I know I've seen you just absolutely thrive and tackle these issues. But talk to me about saying no. What would you say to an Enneagram 2 that maybe hasn't done the personal development? Why is it so hard? Or think about back to yourself before you got
Hmm.
into personal development. Why is it hard to say no to people?
I think it's because you want to help everybody. You want to do whatever makes them happy, and I think that is the struggle. And it's not about um, neglecting people; it's just about putting yourself first and taking that time to focus on yourself, and then helping others. You can still have that
Mm,
want, but it is a trained, um, I guess, a trained feeling or a trained action that you need to say no, but here's what you could do, or whatever else, instead of going and actually doing it. Maybe just giving some advice as opposed to,
mhm.
helping, doing whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, because you get a lot of joy, a lot of fulfillment, a lot of self worth out of helping people as a helper.
Hmm.
So if you're not helping people, then it's like, oh, my self-worth goes down.
Right.
So how do you naturally receive help in return?
Hmm. Um, from a business aspect, it's probably from actually planning, coordinating, and delegating is receiving
Mhm.
help and it's just a matter of freeing up time. So, in fact, I am saying no to a lot of things, but then it becomes somebody else's responsibility. Um,
Mhm.
so, getting help in return on the personal level is just probably saying yes to things that you would normally not say yes to. Like, let me
Mhm.
grab this. Can I do this for you? It's like, well, okay, and because
Yeah.
maybe they get some personal satisfaction out of it as well, as opposed
Mhm.
to trying to
Yeah.
do it all.
Well, what happens when you do try and do it all yourself?
You get burnt out.
So yeah, so I love that phrase burnt out, right? Because you are
Mhm.
doing everything for everybody, right? It's like,
Mhm.
who doesn't deserve help? Like, how do you draw the line at who you decide to help, or who do you want to help?
I I don't think it's a matter of drawing the line on who or what. It's just whatever situation that you're in,
Hmm.
because it could be somebody you don't know, somebody you just met. It could be somebody for 20 years. There's no category you can put people in. I think it's just the situation that you're in, but also being respectful to your own time and your own needs is important.
Hmm. Yeah. Right. I always say in the list of, or, in the lineup of people that you want to help, make sure you're just in the lineup. You don't have to be first.
Hmm.
Although that's like the next level of personal development, helping yourself first. But
Right.
at least if you're starting out as an Enneagram 2, put yourself in the lineup, right?
Right.
So with this long list of people to help, let's just say an Enneagram 2 who is not great at receiving help.
Hmm.
Where do you see that mind read come into and that burnout where it's like, hey, I'm helping all these people, no one's helping me in return?
Hmm.
What happens at that point?
Um, if you probably a lot of anxiety and I'm trying to think of what else it might bring across, animosity towards others, and just getting to the point of saying, "Well, I'm not helping anybody anymore," and that's it. Which isn't the case. It's just be selective on who you help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like you said,
When you
including
have
yourself.
got, yeah, when you have gotten to that point where you're like, I'm not helping anybody anymore, right?
Hmm.
What, and the emotions wear down, and maybe
Hmm.
it's a day or two goes by or a week or whatever. What do you feel after that? Because that's ultimately not what you really want, to not help
Hmm.
anybody.
Right, right. I guess you just slowly get back on track and just kind of uh, take the right steps to improving the way you help people. I think you can help people in a lot of different ways. Like I said, it's just a matter of how you do it. You don't have to take on their problems and take on their issues. You can be almost an advisor to yourself to them as well. So you can kind of get outside of yourself a little bit, um, and not have to take everything so personally and want to uh, fix them and fix everything about them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just listening
Under,
without fixing is very difficult for a two.
So if I'm coming at
Mhm.
you and I just want to vent and you're trying to help me and fix my problems when all I want to
Uh-huh.
do is just have a listening ear. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like you're
So,
going to
so
naturally
you
want
you have
to
to like do
step in.
magic hands or something like this and go, and it's a
Hands
code and
off.
say, it's a code like you don't have to do anything. I'm just venting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. That's really good. So what would you say about boundaries then with yourself? How would you advise an Enneagram to stop like helping, and what's the is there a secret ingredient for getting the magic hands of just listening and not wanting to help?
Um, no, I think every situation is different, but I think that really, I mean, since you and I worked on more business stuff, I focus more on that a lot on the discussions, and
Hmm.
so I think that, setting aside and make holding people accountable for what they're supposed to do instead of continually coming back. And it's like, well, 2 weeks ago we put this on your plate. If you have a question about it, I'm happy to answer a question, but I'm not going to do it. Or if it falls short, I'm not going to do it. It just falls short, and that's on you,
Hmm.
not on me, but it's on me if I didn't help them to get to the spot in the first place or
Hmm.
coach them enough
So
to get to
just,
where they need to go.
yeah, understanding you can still show up in a supportive way and help people without doing it for them
Correct.
and
Yeah.
just guiding them, right?
Yeah.
What about going back to this appreciation, what does
Mhm.
appreciation look like in return for you?
I, one way, which is a kind of difficult way for a lot of people, is just not to do the same thing over and over and over again. Like if we talk about it
Mm.
and I help you and I get you to a certain point, it's like you take it from here and then we'll challenge
Mhm.
tackle the next thing, but not going back to the same thing over and over again. That makes me feel very appreciated, to be quite honest, because it's kind of like, okay, I've helped, and I can see that it helped, as opposed to I helped,
Right.
but then I'm having to continue to help, which leads to burnout and frustration.
Right, because you constantly want to keep helping and fixing and stepping into that. That's
Mm,
interesting. It's like, hey, all of my efforts for helping you actually served a purpose and did something. So I
right,
feel good about what I did because I'm seeing it's reflected in what you are doing.
correct, right,
So, okay,
in your
cool. Very
success.
good. Yeah. What else? How else can you appreciate an Enneagram two? Because an Enneagram two is not necessarily going to ask for help in return necessarily, especially on a personal basis.
Hmm.
So how can people know that you want help?
Um, well, we don't typically, so it's hard to, but we need it. Um, um, I guess maybe just trying to set up a better line of communication, or if you see, I mean, for me, when I walk in the office, people know if I'm frustrated or I'm happy or I'm in whatever mood I'm in, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows it's real. It kind of radiates from around me. Um, at that point in time, it would be nice to just be like, hey, is there anything I can do to help? They don't have to know the situation. They don't have to know anything, or I hate to say it, but I like the mind reading side of it. I mean, you have that with me. You like, I can tell that today's going to be a day. Let's push our meeting or whatever else it may
Mhm.
be. And it's like, though that is a good way to communicate with the two. But I think just to answer your question, a simple thank you, like a
Mhm.
simple form, an email, a thank you, a note, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just needs to be something.
Yeah, the smallest bit of recognition, right?
Hmm.
Because if I put my self worth into helping people, right? That's the Enneagram 2's their core desire is to feel loved and wanted by others, and I they do that and express that through helping people or
Hmm.
maybe at the very beginning of a personal development journey they don't know that they want to be loved and wanted by others so much. That's why they might avoid some hard conversations and confrontation or not express boundaries because it's like, oh well, what if I'm not loved with this?
Right.
So it can be very simple, right, to express appreciation and say, "Oh yeah, you're loved, you're wanted. Thank you for this. This was great," and validate your self worth, so you get that
Hmm.
feeling of, um, just worthiness and hey, I'm loved.
Right.
What else can people do to show you that hey, you're loved, just the way you are?
Um, can people do? Um, I guess just be there for you when it's needed, but I think that's kind of universally the rule, not
Mhm.
specifically with twos. I'm trying to think what else for me specifically. I don't know. Honestly, I really think it's a simple thank you, or actually just um, um, I guess what we were talking about before also is just we've talked about this. This is off my plate. It's on your plate. Take care of it, and you know, everything will be great. A hug
Mhm.
is nice too. It's always a good thing. Not appropriate in the
Mhm.
workplace, but on the personal level, that's great. You know,
Yeah. Okay, lots of hugs for Enneagram twos.
there you go.
I love it. So, what if somebody does not know how to fix your problem, or if they're not even aware that you have a problem and they've showed up and say, hey, how can I support you? Or I want to show up as a listening ear. Do you
Mhm.
want someone to help you come up with a solution for your problem, or do you just want them to listen?
No, I like to collaborate. I mean, I think being in the
Mm-hmm.
architecture business, that's very important, and I think that's where the success is. And to be quite honest, it's a group effort. It's a group effort in a personal relationship and in a business setting. And I do like that help. I do not like doing everything myself. I like to get all the pieces and parts together from all the different players and kind of package it all up, edit it, and then present it to the client. I think that's kind of the best way to do it. And that's not me presenting
Mm-hmm.
it, meaning like us as a team presenting something to a client. So no, the
Hmm.
help is super appreciated, and uh, it goes a long way. Just bring your best self when we're when we're collaborating. Um,
Hmm.
doing a group
What is
project and having to do it all
collaborating?
yourself is not fun. Everybody's been there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's interesting because you don't want to do things by yourself because then, really, too, if you're not used to doing things for yourself, it's like, well, I have no
Hmm.
one to help right now, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, what does collaboration look like on a personal level in relationships, even with your
Um,
kids?
right, right. I mean, simply as, just talking, planning, talking about the future, talking about weekend plans, talking about, what do you want to do? Or, currently right now going through college applications and everything. And it's like, well, where do
Hmm.
you want to go? Why do you want to go there? What does University of Wyoming have over LSU? Why are you even
Hmm.
applying over there? And just having them answer those questions is part of the collaboration because honestly, it's not my life, it's their life, and I'm here to help and support. But ultimately, it's their decision that they need to make and move forward with in the best way possible. So it's
Hmm.
that's important. I mean, everything from even meal planning to there's a thousand collaborations that happen on a personal level.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting viewpoint for someone who's getting along with an Enneagram too. It's like, hey, I don't want to do it myself, but I do want to collaborate with you because I like helping and serving in that purpose.
Well, the other
Let's
part of
talk
that is
about,
like from the
oh
business
yeah.
side of it, just going back to that, the collaboration part is also people learning from doing and mentoring in a way without being a mentor. And then
Hmm.
allowing some people to take reins and take pieces and parts that they've never done before. And because I'm ultimately interested in their success, that's how I feel like I'm getting satisfaction from helping is
Hmm.
seeing them be
Right.
successful. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if they do something to grow, right, your efforts were actually, not in vain, right?
Correct.
And then it takes something off of your plate because now I don't have to help you with this. And as an Enneagram 2, you probably have a long list of people to help already, right? So
Hmm.
it's like, hey, I already tried to help you, check this off so you can take this off my plate, right? You feel like a
Right.
personal responsibility for it and learning to help people and collaborate with them and not feeling the
Hmm.
personal responsibility and saying, nope, nope, this is on them. They got this. Um,
Yeah, I
is
think
huge for an
most of my
Enneagram too.
yeah, and I think all of my mentors must have been twos because that's exactly how they handled me was
Yeah,
collaborate and go.
I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if all the mentors and coaches, I wonder if there's a lot of twos out there because they like to
Probably
help.
so. Probably so. But that was in my most important
Yeah.
part of learning is them, number one, giving me the responsibility, me taking the responsibility. And I got a lot of it from helping them because they were obviously much
Hmm.
higher and taking things off their plate, which then allowed me to become successful because next thing you know, I'm doing much larger and larger architecture projects because it was off of their plate and they had moved on to even larger ones. So it's kind of a stair
Hmm.
step process as part of it.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about in Enneagram 2 is something there's something called a harmonic group, and it's how each type deals with conflict or difficulty. And you're
Hmm.
in something called the positive outlook group. And when you hear that, what does that mean to you?
It definitely is the group that I'm in. I love it. I love a good positive outlook, even though I can be negative quite a bit sometimes, actually. But those are just on frustrating days. But I think also looking for the ultimate positive outcome is that's how I try to look at everything. Of course, that's taken a while from great coaching and everything else. If expect good things always, right? So
Always.
always, always, and you just keep telling yourself that, and that is it usually ends up that way. Or it always
Yeah.
does.
What always. It really does. Why is a positive outlook if someone comes to you with a problem?
Hmm.
Why is a positive outlook towards a solution? Why is that so important to an Enneagram too?
I think I think because if it's negative to start off with, the stress side will take over, and then it just gets very overwhelming, controlling. Like you just want to sit down and stop what you're doing right there and focus on this one task until it's completed, especially if it's an issue. I know I deal with that, and I prefer, if there is a problem, to be addressed immediately about the problem, whether it is positive or negative, and then we can decide collectively if this is really positive or negative. Because there
Yeah,
are,
the
I mean,
collaboration again.
correct. But if a problem waits too long before I know about it, it is extremely stressful because I feel like I've missed those 2 weeks
Hmm.
of client interaction or whatever else it may be, and that turns into everybody stop, shut down the office. We're taking care of this one thing, which is not necessary. I'm
Hmm.
working on it being okay. If you have a problem, nobody's getting in trouble. Issues happen. Bring them up immediately and let's address them immediately and figure out what because the sooner you take care of it, the better it's going to be.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that's
The
possible.
less time in, you know, distress you'll be in, and the sooner that, and especially if a problem is presented to you with a
Hmm.
positive outlook of some type
Yeah.
of solution or a potential solution,
Yes.
I imagine it takes the pressure off of you because you naturally want to help and fix everything, right? And
Right.
then you can go to that stress aid of that control. So if I know, and this is just based off of what you've said so far, if I know you already have a solution in the works, then
Hmm.
that tells me that you're not putting all the weight on me, and that we can collaborate, and
Hmm.
you are coming with your half. So it's not all on me.
Correct.
Okay.
And also, it's that I've mentored you enough to know how to get to that solution to present back to me just as a touch point, you know?
Yeah, right. Like I've already helped you in the past. Yay, what I did actually served a purpose.
Right,
Yeah, like kind of
exactly.
like that check mark of self-worth. It's like, okay, what I did had a purpose. Oh, that's really
Right.
interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
Very cool. Was there any advice that you would give to somebody who is brand new to the Enneagram, does not know that they are in a relationship, a personal relationship or a professional relationship with a
Hmm.
two? What would
Right.
be like the number one piece of advice that you would give them of how to get along with the two?
How to get along with it too. I think that was one that we just touched on. Is being clear and concise, and if there's an issue or whatever it is, positive or negative, just it's not conflict. It's just a conversation. We are not going to get
Hmm.
mad at you for a lot of things, but especially if it's addressed up front. Um, Maybe seeing, like we said, seeing how hard that they're trying to help everybody, and just a simple thank
Hmm.
you or a note every once in a while is great. Um,
Yeah.
and it doesn't get much deeper than that. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty simple, not very complicated. I mean, everybody knows where I stand at every point in time, whether I'm speaking it or the emotions on my face or wherever it is. So, um,
Hmm.
just kind of, a little bit of appreciation. Oh, and loyalty goes a long way. That was
Yeah, I was
another.
actually going to bring that up. I'm glad you
Yeah,
said that.
yeah.
Talk to
Like
me
I read
about
your
why
mind.
loyalty is. Yeah, right. It's reversing now. Right now, you're in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
Why is loyalty so important to you as a two?
I think because we are really putting in so much effort into ourselves and into other people on a daily basis, across the board,
Mhm.
and to be loyal to that is really important because we really are thinking about the best interest of 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 everybody. And so being able
Mhm.
to adapt and understand, you know, what person A, person B, person C, the things that they need because of conversations are completely different. It's not universal. So that is, you know,
Mhm.
hard to get to know people well enough to know what number one Enneagram they are, like we have in our company, but then also know how to react to them. So you have to think there's, so many different ways you can react on so many different scenarios, on a positive or a negative scenario, and taking that time to really focus on that, and being loyal and seeing the amount of effort that's put into it is extremely important.
Mhm.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and if you flip that in reverse, right, how you view loyalty is, we all do this, every human. This is how I view loyalty, so this is how I think others view loyalty.
Hmm.
So if I know that I'm thinking about person A, B, and C, right, and I've probably as a two gone through all the hoops to over help these people, right, and do
Hmm.
everything that I can to help them,
Right.
then on the flip side, if I am sensing disloyalty, it's like, hey, you're not thinking about me. You're not you don't have any feelers out here for like how I'm going to react to this. You're not taking my feelings into account at all. And
Hmm.
then you can add on this, well, that's in itself is awful. But then you take on this, well, and I've done all these things for you up until this point,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like that, like, just cuts a little bit deeper.
Right. Right. And there is a wall that you do hit. And I think a lot of people have that. Some people have short fuse, some have long fuse. I have an extremely long fuse. But when it is there, and that is that. Um,
Hmm.
so because I feel like I've been loyal for so long as well. So I'm dedicating myself to you. You dedicate yourself to me, and I do understand. It's being the boss is a thankless position. They say all the time, but it doesn't have to be for everybody out there.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
those small pieces of gratitude and small appreciation.
Yeah.
When somebody betrays your loyalty, how do they get it back?
Hmm.
Or is it a
It,
lost
it,
cause?
no, it's not a lost cause at all. Just, hey, I'm sorry. I really should have done this differently. I handled it incorrectly. Probably the same way that I would handle if I was
Mhm.
upset or did something that I shouldn't have done or said something I shouldn't have said. I just say, I'm sorry. That's my mistake. I shouldn't have acted like that. Do you forgive me? Let's move on. It won't happen again.
Right, taking
Yeah.
ownership. So you
Yeah.
don't have to take ownership of it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, that loyalty is huge, and even expressing appreciation can show up in just being loyal then too, and that's a
Hmm.
huge value to a two. That wraps up how to get along with an Enneagram 2. I hope it was helpful and gave you some insight into the mind of someone you love. To listen to the entire episode along with more episodes on Enneagram 2, check out my podcast that's streaming on all major platforms. It's linked right in the bio. Be sure to send this to your favorite Enneagram 2 or someone who you know has a close relationship with the 2. And if you loved today's episode, please follow, subscribe, or leave a review. That seriously does help the show grow so much and allows me to continue to get awesome guests and episodes out for you. And of course, I'm going to leave you with just one thing. It's this: expect good things always, and they will happen.